Alright guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about something different. Something that I mentioned before. How to avoid making a terrible mistake when buying a motorcycle, especially here in Ontario. But before anything else, I like to introduce to you this guy, Aka Ryan. He was the one who trying to swap this 2007 Kawasaki ZX-10 with my 2007 Yamaha R6. Apparently, this bike had a major problem. I wouldn't tell you right now, but I'm gonna let you know shortly what exactly happened. As you could see, the bike here looks pretty okay. You don't seem to notice anything wrong with this bike right now. Seem to be normal. Everything seem to be operational from the video. And by the way, he took this video himself. Sadly, that's what happened. Anyway, the day after I switched my 07 Yamaha R6 with this 07 Kawasaki ZX-10, I naturally tested the bike, check it out. I rode it about 15 minutes and check if there was anything wrong with it. It seemed to be normal. It was just something I noticed. It wasn't that torquey on the first gear, so I was kind of surprised. It seemed to be tamed. But then I heard that some people usually they change the ECU programming on this bike because naturally these ZX-10 are very torquey, and actually a lot of people are getting into an accident with this bike. So I assume somebody changed the ECU programming on this. And that guy, actually, Aka Ryan, mentioned to me that he was involved in an accident and that he has some steel bars on his legs. But then, he did not mention to me which bike he was using when he got into an accident. But anyway, when we switched the bikes, he did not mention to me anything about the ownership or the actual history of this ZX-10. So, in short, this bike had an ownership problem. It was Unfit and the brand is Salvage. Alright? Or I think even before Salvage, whatever brand is that. Anyway, I just found it out when the day after I tested the bike, I went to MTO. Then I found out they cannot transfer the ownership into my name because of its status, particularly the brand. First, it says Unfit, and then they noticed that the ownership, the brand section in the top left, if you look at your ownership, there should be a brand. But the ownership of this bike, it shows the brand was ripped, actually, like intentionally been ripped or erased, which I did not even notice it during the transition when I was switching the bikes with the guy. I was reckless. That was my first mistake. I did not double check the ownership and everything. So I got stuck with this ZX-10. So I couldn't do much thing because I tried to switch back the bike with him, but he never agreed to switch back. And basically I just lost my Yamaha R6. So what am I gonna do with this bike now? Maybe convert it into a truck bike? Maybe? We'll see. Here I'm gonna show you the ownership. This is a good ownership. The brand, it's supposed to says none, and that's good. No problem. And this is the ownership of the CX-10. The brand was erased and says unfit. That means it's not a good ownership. The bike is bad and you will have a problem. So, what lessons did I learn? I learned a hard lesson actually. So, first, always buy a UVIP and check with the MTO after you acquire the VIN number of the bike you like to buy. And secondly, check the ownership, make sure there's a clean title. And then thirdly, you match it with a buyer's ID or any government ID perhaps, but a lot of buyers actually don't even have a license, especially those young guys who cannot afford the motorcycle insurance, right? So in my case, I actually first noticed when I check his ownership when it handed it to me. I saw the unfit, the UNF. But for some reason, since I was an inexperienced buyer and a seller, I ignored the UNF. It means unfit. And I didn't even notice the brand that was ripped. I thought it was just accidentally ripped. I did not realize it was intentional. But anyway, I did not even question the guy about that part of the ownership. Yes, I was reckless. And my second terrible mistake was that I did not even ask for his ID. So I failed to match the ownership and with this ID. So basically, I don't even know who's this guy, who's this asshole, who did not even explain to me what was really going on with this ZX10. He did not mention anything to me that it was unfit, it was branded salvage, irreparable. All this I only found out when I went to MTO the next day after I tested his ZX10. Right? It was the MTO agent actually who noticed that the brand was intentionally ripped. At least it seems like it was intentionally ripped. So I was devastated. I was told by the MTO to call a certain number, right? It was the phone number for the headquarters of Ministry of Transportation, and this particular department that I need to talk to, right? Because I phoned them and I spoke with a couple of agents. I phoned them twice, right? And asking them to change the brand into, according to MTO, has to be changed into Salvage. And from Salvage, then the MTO will be able to change it into Rebuilt. And from Rebuilt, then they could transfer it into my name. But then, first of all, I had to write some letters to the Licensing Administration and Support Office under Ministry of Transportation Office. This is actually the headquarters of MTO. And basically, they need me to beg for them to change it. And then I was also instructed by MTO agent that it's possible that my bike, the ZX10, may have to go through its structural safety certification, and it will cost at least maybe $1,000. After a day or two, I went to write a letter. I mailed it to the licensing administration office and waited for a few days for any reply. And while I was waiting, I was kind of desperate, right, to get rid of this ZX10. But I thought of just converting it into a truck bike. But then converting a bike into a truck bike is not that an easy process as well. You have to spend some money to it, change a couple of parts, right? But anyway, I posted the bike, right? the ZX10 to Kijiji until someone found my ad. And luckily, the guy basically accepted my ZX10. And I explained to the guy, to the buyer, what was really going on with the ZX10 and everything about it. It has bad ownership, and I couldn't transfer the ownership into my name because of its status and all this shit about that ZX10. But then he had the exact model before, and he loves ZX10, 2000 ZX10. He also noticed that it wasn't torquey. It was already tamed, the one that I had, right? So anyway, he accepted it because he loves ZX10, and he had like four bikes, and one of the bike that he switched with me was his 2006 Honda CBR 600 R. So finally, I got rid of my ZX10 and I got this, my new ride. Yeah, the bike came like this, right? With this kind of fairing, stuff like that, right? It was really dirty, some missing screws. Some screws are actually loosened, actually. So I spent about a good 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours to clean it and fix whatever I need to fix. And now I'm started to dress up this my new ride slowly but surely. I even ordered a new fairing kit for it. And so stand by for my next episode of my vlog, and I hope you learned something and enjoyed my video. Thank you.